Kia ora, Mr Chair, nā mihi nui kia koutou. Kia ora, I rise to speak on part one. Now, I know there are a great deal of other debates this House should be having tonight that are far, far more important than the cloth on the flag. But just because there are more important things we should be discussing, just because we're trying to fix up a bit of a political mess the Parliament got itself into, doesn't mean we have to resort to absolute silliness in the debate. Now, in this contribution, I'd like to address some of the conspiracy theories we've heard dealing with part one. Now, the first conspiracy is by the member Dennis O'Rourke that somehow this is a Nazi symbol, which I find scurrilous and disgraceful. And it's quite incredible that within the second reading of Parliament, New Zealand first descended to Godwin's Law. And only the second reading they descended to Godwin's Law, which we all know is the marker of not having a particularly good argument. Now, the second conspiracy theory we've heard tonight is from the Honourable Member Trevor Mallard. Now, we've had this debate. I've raised this point in previous contributions that the red peak isn't specifically mentioned in, I believe, clauses 4 and 5 because of the constitutional arrangement. Now, we sought expert advice on this and that it is improper for this Parliament to instruct the Governor-General what to do. Now, this is why it's mentioned in the explanatory note. Now, this is the conspiracy theory. Does the Honourable Member, in his assertions, believe that somehow the Governor-General is going to pick a different flag? Is he going to pick Laser Kiwi? Is he going to pick something out? And if this is the message that the Honourable Member is putting out there, he should just say it. Now, the Honourable Member also made some other points. Now, I've got a lot of time for Mr Mallard. He's got an esteemed history in this House and our political history. Now, Mr Mallard, I believe it was somewhat patronising, described me as naive, silly, inexperienced in relation to the drafting of this law. Now, I'll admit, this law was drafted yesterday after our caucus meeting in the morning. It did receive some oversight from the PCO. Now, I would like to address the three allegations. I'm naive, I'm silly, and I'm inexperienced. It's true. I am naive of the old politics that we see from that member. The politics that saw two parties dig themselves a political deadlock that's seen the Green Party try to fix it, not by scoring points. Because sure, I may be naive when it comes to scoring political points, but I'm not naive with finding constructive solutions to try and break the deadlock. Now, the member called me silly, and it may be true, but perhaps a different definition of silly is railing against a bill, the dirty deals that behind it, and then voting for it. And thirdly, I might be inexperienced, but I'm not inexperienced in the old first-past-the-post politics where deals should only be done between the two big parties. I'm not experienced in that, and I'm proud of it. Now, when we're talking about those first-past-the-post politics, the Honourable Member also talked about the Twitterati, deprecating the social media campaign, which we've heard in other contributions from this debate. Now, Mr Speaker, what this bill does is add a fifth option. This isn't because 5 is a better number than 4. We all know exactly why we're here. The fifth option is because of the absolute phenomenal groundswell of support, which all parties bar one has acknowledged. That's why we're here. Now, we shouldn't be deprecating those people for getting involved in politics, be it on Facebook, be it on Instagram, be it on Twitter. It's entirely appropriate, entirely legitimate, and I don't think that we should be somehow saying because it's done on one particular forum, it doesn't have the equal merit of others. In fact, I think in hindsight, Mr Chair, we would not be in this situation had the flag consideration panel incorporated new technology. Why on earth couldn't the public upvote or downvote the flags based on their preference? Mr Speaker, Mr Chair, why on earth couldn't they comment on the more than 10,000 submissions so perhaps we could have seen a more informed process? This is what alternative flag consideration projects have done at considerably less cost. So let's not knock those people for engaging in politics and democracy just because they did it on a phone. Let's give them a choice. Let's make sure that this Parliament acts constructively. Kia ora.